There we go. Okay, you can continue.
All right. My name is Ra-N-Ell, and I want to share a presentation tonight called Ra the Ram. A lot of people are not familiar with the energy of Ra, but we're going to bring it full circle and bring it to synergy so that we can benefit from this archetypal energy. And in teaching the story of Ra the Ram, we're going to understand energy at the same time. We're going to get right in the center of it. And Ra was also known as a carrion or a bird type of being. So that signified sight, being able to see from a distance. So we're going to look at it. We're going to breathe into it, look at it with a very close view. We're going to ram into it, just like the ram. Because the ram signifies the head. It also signifies Aries, which is the first sign of our zodiac. So we're going to ram it. We're going to give it some air. We're going to breathe it. Then we're going to let it out. We're going to contract. We're going to relax and step outside of it and look at it from a distance so we can see the whole picture and bring it into singularity and bring it into full center. So let us begin. So as we look at this first slide, we're looking at something that I found that signifies Aries or the ram. And so we're going to bring this, we see that the inverted triangle, I like to call it the chalice or the cup. But we see this figure that is etched around the ram's head, and we see that normally we see that signified with a feminine energy, something that is taking something into it. But also it could be looked at as something coming up. So we're going to demystify this ram. We're going to show how this ram is so significant in our story, and see how it's going to how we can use it. So let us go. All right, I'm going to go to the wrong button. Let me see. Let's back out of that. Now, we're going to start off with this slide right here, because this right here is the same thing if we turn it, if we invert it the other way, and we kind of take the Y and we put it upside down from the way we're looking at it now. And why am I bringing this to our attention and our awareness? Because I want to bring consciousness to this energy so that we can see that this is all things. This is you. This is me. This is the ants. This is the birds. This is the ram. This is the air. This is all things. This is solid. This is liquid. This is gas. Okay? And so we're going to bring this thing full circle and bring it into singularity and show the unified field of how we're going to take just the ram and the center standing of the ram and see how we can know everything from it. So we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down. So how I want to start is, if we sit here and we look at this ram and we look at the curves of his head, of the horns, it will tell us every and all things about energy and how it flows, and how the third eye or the head, how it all is just coming into one singularity within that pineal gland. And we're going to show how we can just take and use and know the dynamics of how this energy floats around us, within us, and through us, and how it breathes in and out within the system. So I want to start off by dispelling something that we hear a lot about, and that is the chakra system, and how we look at it only from a bottom-up view, looking at it from just the standpoint of the pyramid. Now, let me back out of this, and I'm going to bring up this little program right here. because this will allow me to bring up those same pictures and draw on them. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Right here. Here we go. Let's go to albums, make sure I got the correct one. Here we go. Alright, let's find this picture again of the zodiac. I think it's at the bottom. Here we go. Now, can everybody see that? Everybody?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright, so let's get us a red. Alright, let us draw. Now, most of the time, we've been learning about the zodiac, we've been learning about the chakras, we've been learning these things, but we've been learning it from a pyramidal type of view. We've been learning it from this base up, like that right there. And so we've been calling the chakras, we've been calling the root, you know, it might extend down a little bit further, you know, down up in here, the coccyx, as they would call it, but we've been calling this the root. And then we've been going all the way up to the crown. I don't have to write them all out. Y'all know. Excuse my writing. But if you look at this chart right here, this chart right here will show you the completeness of the zodiac and how we've been looking at the zodiac only half of it. We've been getting partial information, and we've been basing all of our decisions and our movements based upon partial information. Now, when you look at this right here, if you're calling this the root, what about all of this right here? What about the whole bottom half of your body? Now, we see people sitting down and they, you know, explaining the chakra system and they're calling them a system of 7. But I beg to differ. And not only I beg to differ, the ancients beg to differ. Let's back this up. Let's get rid of some of that. Uh-oh, I won't look too far. Okay. Now, if you look here, this will give you a complete view of the whole body and how this chakra system is tied to the body, and not only how the chakra system is tied to the body, how the zodiac is tied to the body. Now, the zodiac that I'm going to show you is just based on the 12 planets or the system that is around us. Now, down here at the bottom, down here at the feet, this is Pisces, or however you spell Pisces. This is your Aquarius right here. Aquarius. I don't know how to spell that great, but y'all get the point. Capricorn. Here's your Sagittarius. And then after Sagittarius was it Scorpio? I think it's Scorpio. Scorpio. Right up in there. Now you're going to notice that these zodiacs are mirrored on both sides for each leg. Then you're going to notice that these same zodiac signs are at the arms. They extend out to the arms on each side. Like that. Then you have Aries at the top. And you see the sign. And then it works its way down until you get into the middle where you have Libra, which this signifies right here the winged goddess. Right there in the center. Let me just right up this area. That's the balance. That is the scale. That is what we're calling 0 potential. And 0 on this side. This is the scale of Mayat right here. Well, let me put that in green. This right here, That's the equal sign in algebra. This is the two sides of the equation, the plus and the minus. But you notice that it's balance in the system. This system allows energy to be transferred on each side. That Y. Allowing energy to be on each side. And then the Y, it Y's on this side. All the way down to the feet, actually. And there's your Y on that side. Now, this is the complete depiction of how it should be. Now, let me bring in another picture so I can prove this, so that we don't just look at one thing and say, okay, we got it. No, how we doing now, we want to be centered, we want to be balanced. So we want to look at this thing from several different views. Let me bring up another picture that signifies the same thing. Here we go. Should be in this same. Okay. Here we go again. Same thing we're seeing. We're seeing the Pisces down here at the feet. Get my pencil on. See the fish. You see right here, you see the Capricorn. Right here. You see the Sagittarius. You see your Scorpio right there in the reproductive area. And here's your Libra. Here's your winged goddess again, Mayat, your equal sign. Right there. And then it goes up. You got Virgo, the Virgin. You got Leo, the Lion. Then you got your what's this one? I forgot with the I'm freezing up a little bit. But y'all know that one right there. With the one right here. With the crab. That's Cancer. And then you have your your Gemini, the twins, which are your shoulders. And then it starts to work its way back down again, where you have your Aries, your Aquarius right here, and then your Capricorn again by your elbow, and then your Sagittarius up in this area. So it extends out again, and this is what this map and this clock or this diagram is going to show you. Okay. So now, let's pull in another picture. Uh-oh. I'm in a lot. I wish it'd just go back to where I was, but it don't seem to be doing that. Okay. So now, we're going to get back to the head. Because that's where we was. We was at Aries. We was at the top of the head. And we're going to get into a more specific. Because now, as a matter of fact, I don't need to draw yet. So I'm going to go back just to my regular pictures. So I can move a little faster. All right. So now, we want to see, we see now that the body, the system, the Merkaba, the spirit body, the way the energy flows throughout the cosmos, the way that our cells move within our body, which ain't nothing but atoms, a small sphere, which a planet ain't nothing but a atom or a small sphere. A galaxy ain't nothing but an atom, a small sphere. And that a solid is a liquid, is a gas. All of these things are the same elements or the same pot or the building blocks to all of existence and non-existence. So now we sit here and we're looking at this slide and we seeing Earth right there in the middle. And we seeing this zodiac and these months in relation to how we see them and in relation and to how they are around us in our immediate solar system. And you see Earth in the center, showing you again that you are not the head. You're not right. You're not left. You are center. You are a centered being, a spherical being, or a spirit. And the vehicle in which you move around in is based off of the principles of a sphere and a Merkaba or a Merkaba. And we're going to break it all down. We're going to show how it works in the head, and then we're going to show how it works in different parts of your body, and how there's even something even bigger than all of this called your immediate solar system. It's called the Milky Way galaxy. That is called the Great Mother Dragon. So we first starting with Mother Earth. We're going to go in her head. We're going to show you how the power is flowing and how the power is flowing in you, because you built off her same architecture. And then I'm going to show you her sitting in the cosmos, in the solar system, and I'm going to show you how the whole Milky Way galaxy works through her, and how every part of the Milky Way ain't nothing but just an element of her, and how we are her, and how she is everything. So let us keep going. So the next slide, where I want to go. Okay, let's go back to this slide right here, because this slide right here is going to signify something. It's showing us something. We're showing right here, this is a nebula, or like a center of a black hole. Now, you're looking at the center of this black hole, and if you look carefully enough, you can see within the nucleus of this thing a being or a child or a density or something coming into or coagulating or coming into an entanglement with itself. No different than a fetus if you look at a fetus from a certain point of view. Now right here we're going to see this fetus or this nebula or the star child start to separate or explode, or its molecule is starting to expand, come to life. It's coming out of the shell. It's coming out of that womb, out of that cocoon, or whatever you want to say, that sac. As the baby coming out of the womb, it has a sac. That sac ain't perfect. Look at that. Look at that's not perfect. It's not perfect symmetry. You can see it's just like no different than the embryo of a baby coming out. Okay, now this baby, as this baby expands and become grown, the movements that this baby going to make in its expansion, as it grows, it's going to imitate this movement right here. These are the orbits of its elements. This is the spin of it. And the interactions of these curves, the interactions of where these curves interlace, intermingle, this is what causes the spark of light. This is the emanation of light. Light causes straight lines. If you notice, if you look within this, you're going to see a cross, like the Holy Cross. But then within this cross, if you look on the sides of the cross diagonal, you're going to see an X or intersection. X marks the spot. So right here, you're seeing the X or the intersection of the orbits of these molecules or these planets or these galaxies, or the smoke or ice or water or wood or piece of fabric, you're seeing the movement of this elements, of this current, of this power. And the intersections, the arcs of these curves or these covenants creates what we call light or solids, or something to something we can feel and see, something that can come from the unseen unto the seen, because as these curves are intersecting, they are causing light to be shown. Now this right here can show you the summing up, or it can dispel within a person's mind the paradox of when people say, oh, light is illusion. It is and it ain't. It's both. Because it is the arc of these things, intersection is causing the spark or the light. But in all essence, there is no light. There's only these electrons moving and dancing in a perfect dance. Let us keep going. We're going to get back to the realm. Here we go again. Let's look inside of the atom. We're going to see the same song and dance. If it's smoke, it's going to move the same way. How is it going to move? The energy is going to move like this, like a spindle. See, when we get caught up on flat surfaces and we get out of our imagination and we can't see that this energy is not staying still, it's not staying compact, it's not staying within one confined space. That as these atoms, as these planets, as these galaxies, as this water, as this liquids, as these solids spin in this perfect dance, it's spindling out and spindling back in. It's moving out and moving back in. It's yinging and it's yanging. It's yinging and it's yanging. And it's doing it from all directions, not just up, not just down, not just diagonal, not just in, not just out. It's doing all of those motions simultaneously, a perfect breath. And the result of that perfect breathing is the emanation of energy shooting out of it in a lateral motion, as we would call left and right. This is the projection of sight, because sight ain't just the eyes capturing light coming into it. There is light coming out of the eye, intersecting with the light that is outside of it. This is the perfect mesh, or creating a matrix or a dance. Okay, let's keep going. So within this song and dance, within this movement, within these two eyes, now we're going to get back to the why, and we're getting back to the head. Because when you look at these two eyes, what these two eyes is doing are they're splitters. They splitting a signal. Now the pineal gland is sitting right there in the center, but it's really sitting where you see his foot is. It's sitting low because your head sits back. It's not a perfect orbit. It's not a perfect sphere. It's more like an eye. Your eye is not a perfect sphere. So if you look at the bottom, or if you really look at this picture, you look at the more so of the reproduction system, that's where the pineal gland will be sitting in relation to the brain. So I don't have on my drawer thing, but if you look right there with the reproduction system, do not pay attention to his head. I'm going to explain how the energy is going to rise up there, and that's not where the pineal is. The pineal is where his reproduction or her reproduction system is, right there, and that's where it's going to split. That's where the signal is splitting to each eye. And from the outside in, those two eyes are bringing in a parallel signal, and it's going to sum it up within that reproduction system, and then it's going to go down. Let me keep going, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to draw it out for you. And then we're going to get into a little something deeper called parallel realities, and I'm going to show you how different realities are going on simultaneously. Now, let's look at this right here before we go too far, and I'm going to show you another slide. So as we looking at these spiral galaxies, or universes, galaxies, or whatever you want to call them, let's call them galaxies, because a galaxy has trillions and trillions and trillions of solar systems. Like our sun is called Sol. It has, what, 12 planets rotating around it? And this is a system, one system. So the sun is acting as a nucleus, or acting as an axis of rotation. Now, it's trillions and billions of those within one of these galaxies. Now, let me show you the entanglement of how, over time, through a cycle, what they're gonna do. And then we're gonna really get to the lesson. Let me find the slide. I know I put it here. Here it is. Now, we're looking at a bird's eye view now of these galaxies. Billions of them. Now, notice the rings around these galaxies. Notice, let me go to my drawing board because there's certain things I want to show. I can leave this up, but I don't want to go to my board and spring this picture up right here. Here we go. Now, when we look at this right here, what do we see? We're seeing the same things that we were just looking at. We're just looking at it from a galactic point of view now. We up there. We way in the heavens. Now look at this right here. This is a nucleus of universes, or a nucleus of galaxies. All right? A nucleus of galaxies. This is like the Milky Way, Andromeda, Cygnus, all these galaxies clustered together. And right here, these are the outskirts, or what we would see if we looked at it from another point of view. That same object would look like a spiral galaxy, like a sine wave again. Now, notice, if I back that up, before I found this slide, and this is from Hubble telescope, before I found this, I didn't have no idea that these things going to do the same thing as the flower of life. I had no idea that these clusters, what we call it a nucleus, here in all of these spiral galaxies are going to act in the same order as the cells in my body. And it's going to act in the same order as electricity. And it's going to act like this in the same order if I was smoking a cigarette or smoking something else, and how the smoke even twirls in the air as we blow it out. The same spindling and spiraling in same configuration. Here we got our same nucleus. We still got our protons, our neutrons. Then we got our electrons up here just spinning, doing the same thing that I'm about to show you, that's going to be going on in your head, that's going on in your chest, that's going on in your reproductive system, that's going on in every orbital of your body. So when they told you you was the whole universe, they wasn't lying, they wasn't exaggerating. And when they told you as above, so below, They was not lying. They was not exaggerating. When they showed you that Star of David or that Merkaba or that six-pointed star, and they told you that the whole multiverse could be summed up with that one symbol, they wasn't lying. They was not exaggerating. Everything we ever needed to know, everything to build anything from another human being to a hybrid from an ant, tiger, bird, humanoid being to a liquid mixed with anything you can imagine with this mechanics. If you watch my last video and you watch this one, I'm going to explain it again and we're going to make it real simple. But we're going to show you that the Trinity or the Triad is the baddest thing on the planet. And we're going to show you that 0 is 1, and 1 is 2, and 2 is 3, and 3 is 4, and 4 is 5, and 5 is 6, and 6 is 7, and 7 is 8, and 8 is 9, and 9 is 0. Back around again. There are no other numbers. From those combinations, all things can be created, intermingled, looped, spun out, breathed back in, self-perpetual energy, things feeding itself in a feedback loop, back to source, back to itself, how things has an order, a mechanic, a law of one written within it, because all things are one. No matter how separate it may look, no matter different it may look than you, no matter how opposite it may seem to you, it's all the same thing. Opposites are the same. The beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. The woman can produce a man that ain't nothing but the inversion of herself. Her son is her in the inverse operation, and he will eventually have his mother again. Reincarnation is real. This is your spirit car in the big micro. One of these nucleuses that I got circled is you. The astro you, the higher self you, if you want to call it that. But then I can back this thing all the way up and take you to the underworld, which is below your skin. You ain't got to go far. And go down with an electron microscope and show you the same thing. Show you your beginning. So I can show you from an electron microscope, this is you, the beginning. And I can show you with a telescope that this is you, the end. It's all you, baby. It's all me. It ain't no separation, because within all of these galaxies and clusters, and boy, you can't even imagine all of the hybridization, the entangleization, the mutations that your mama, God, birthed. See, we down here fighting, fussing, finding black, white, Mexican, Chinese, male, female, nephew, brother, cousin. We finding all these things to find a difference. But guess what Mama Universe say? I don't need but one thing in common to make you the same. I don't need but one intersection. I don't need but one spot where y'all cross to make y'all all one. That's all I need. See, I don't need you to go to school. I don't need you to look like me. I don't need you to be from my same block. I don't even need you to come out my same Stargate. It don't matter. Because with this ionic bonding, we all one. I'm going to find a comment, because this thing going to breathe. After a while, it's going to separate. And things going to isolate itself again. And things going to get back in the top of his head. And it's going to get all this ego. And it's going to think that it's special because it's off by itself. And it's going to forget that it was once part of a group. I'm going to back this up a little bit because we're going to learn a lot from this before I even get to where I even intended to go. But it's just so much right here. We can just learn so much because within this right here, you see this? That's a cluster of galaxies intermixing. They making a nucleus. Do you know how many different beings, different mixes of gases, different mixes of liquids, different mixes of solids? That is, we can't count the number. But we sitting here thinking, because you got a little identity, this little dot, that dot right there is trillions of stars. Now you over there isolated by yourself. And you feeling yourself because you calling yourself a god or a creator or whatever title you want to give yourself. But guess what? There is something looking outside of all of this that can tie it all together and call it one thing. So if somebody want to boast, shouldn't it be that can sit outside and look at it from a bird's eye view and look down? But this creator being, it ain't even about that. It's about diversity. It's about this little area right here. This what Mama creator about. You see that right there? That space? That's the space where those two things share. They still keep their identity. This is still all of what it is. And this one over here is still all of what it is. It ain't lost nothing. But this one little area right here that they just share in common, that's their access point. That's the integration of those those systems. They want to stand alone so bad. They want to be so great by themselves. They really do. And I give them praise. Ra-N-Ell give them praise. But Ra-N-Ell can see a bigger picture. I can see this right here. This space. This sharing. Because within this sharing right here is something new going to be birthed. And it's going to share from both sides. A little bit. But guess what? These two different spheres, they ain't giving all of themselves. Notice that. This right here kept still all of this for itself. All of this over here is still for itself. It only gave a little small piece. It still kept its identity. Over here, it still kept all of this for itself. So as the universe, as it gives, it don't give all of itself. It's of service to others, and it's still a service to itself. It's intermingling. It's taking it's finding that one thing in common, not finding all the differences. Because just like it's standing on one thing in common, it can stand on one thing. It can repel or stay apart for that same one thing. But the universe ain't stingy. The multiverse ain't stingy. Because one thing this multiverse is understanding. That out of this right here, a baby gonna be born. Right here. And this baby, y'all call it New Earth. I just call it a part of me, a part of you that we all had in common. And that intermixing, that interbreeding, that that integration is a better word. I like that word, integration. That integration is our bond. It's always our bond. And no matter how much, no matter how far we go back to this, no matter how far we go back to this picture right here, no matter how far we go back to this separation, this individuality, once we get out of our head and stop ramming our head and get to our center, let some of that air out, come on back down to the ground. It's good to be up high. It's good to want to ascend. But notice something. I want you to notice something. I love this picture. This one right down here on the bottom. This one. I love that picture. Notice something. No matter this goddess, this creator, this everything, no matter if she stood up, when that new baby come out, man, that baby, when that baby pop out of her, it's coming out down here. It's coming out down here. It ain't coming out here. It ain't coming out her mouth. It ain't coming out her head. It ain't. It's going to come out here. So when we get so caught up into ascension and forget about descension, we done missed the lesson. When we just focus on going up, we don't understand, and we don't understand to go up is to go down. When you focus, when you get out of this center, right there, when you get out of your mama belly, and I know because I took the trip as the prodigal child, the one who come out of his mama belly and start to stand up high, and I think I'm higher than my mama. And then I started to disrespect my mama. And forget what my mama did for me. Even though she went through all the hell she went through. It took me a long time to empathize and get out of my head, get out of my bull-ass head. Let me draw the horns. Took me a long time to get out of my horns, to get out of my ram head, and humble myself to understand where I came from and who, no matter what, gonna stand for me. So, if we really care about Mama or Mama Earth, let's don't get too high too fast. Let's don't get up here and forget about down here, our core, our roots. Because we be wanting a lot from Mama Earth. And we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to go away from her. But at least let us not move too fast to get above Mama and out of her orbit. And we ain't learned the lesson of her. Because this is the lesson of a mother and her child. A lot of people ain't learned the lesson of Earth. And excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional because when I think about how we treat our mamas, it ain't good. It ain't good. Because most of us try to grow up too fast and we skipped a lot of steps. Only to have to come back to her and beg for her forgiveness because she was a little wiser. But as she got older, we looked at her as being weak and us as being strong and that we know more than her. But the universe is teaching us a good lesson right now. We didn't hurt our mama. We ain't looking out for one another. We'll sit there and watch somebody die in front of our face, and we won't do a damn thing. I'm talking about me too. Talking about me too. We talk about each other. Our families don't go see each other no more. So, when we talk about ascension, we got to talk about descension first. Some of us need to talk about, we might want to repeat this lesson. Because we might need to. Because before we get out there in that galactic, don't back this up. Before we get out here, because we was once out there before. Before we get back out there, let's ground ourselves with our mama. Because she ain't going nowhere, we don't go nowhere. And we ain't going nowhere if she don't go nowhere. And if we sit out here to ourselves lonely in our head, and we don't never get the lesson that all these clusters of galaxies, they're different colors. I don't even hardly see any that's black or just white. There are many different blends. When we look on our Earth, we don't see one species of anything. And nor do we see one color. We see that mama, nature, she's not that shallow. She's very diverse. And she takes care of us all. And when everything sums up, if it really get hot and the heat get turned up around this place, we're going to be looking for a hand to hold. And we're going to need our mama, we're going to need our neighbor, we're going to need our brother, we're going to need our sister, we're going to need our friends. We're going to need people we don't even know. So, I came to share a oneness, a bringing back together, because that's what I see. I see the universe, it's been spread out as far as it want to spread out. She didn't breathe as far as she want to breathe. She didn't cause as much separation as she want to cause. Now she contracting, meaning she bringing these cosmoses, these universes, she bringing them back together. And now they're overlapping to where we can intermingle. We can take what we want, leave what we don't want. We can integrate with one another. It's all about integration. Expand, find yourself, your individuality, but never lose perspective of the group. We all on this planet together. And one thing through these lessons that I'm going to continue to share is that within what I just showed you is all things, and all things are in you. So all these things you're calling aliens and monsters, these things exist inside of you. They always been there. They always will be there. Some of them raise their head more than others. But believe me, you are God and the devil at the same time, and everything in between it, and nothing. That's the law of one. I just showed you in a macro. I can draw, I can break it down, I can make myself seem smart. I can do all of that. But for real, we just saw enough if we just open up our heart, open up our mind, open up our soul, open up our spirit, open it up, and then bring it all back together in the center. And stand in the center of yourself. You ain't just no in your head. Just because you see out your eyes and hear out your ears and eat in your mouth, that's not all of you. It's not. So let some of the air out and breathe and relax. And understand that anything you ever will see and can see and experience ain't nothing but you in another form, shape, size, or density. It's all one thing, doing a perfect dance, expanding and contracting, good and bad, and all that is in between. It's doing it all, just like we do. I ain't met nobody yet that don't enjoy it all. They don't do it all. We do it a little different measures here and there, and it gives us just a slight individuality. But please, let's don't get outside of ourselves. The first is the last, is the middle. It's all one thing. And with that, I'm going to open up the floor to anybody else who wants to speak, share, or whatever y'all want to do.
If anybody wants to ask a question, you can just unmute yourself if you're on the computer, or press *6 if you're on the phone. You said so much. I was trying to figure out. I had a question myself.
I'll take it off this now, and I'm gonna go to myself. And
you was just mentioning when it was something that you brought up about because you went back to the breath again, and you were talking about something about the eye. I'm trying to remember it all. But okay. Bottom line, it was about this is not it. But those do look like cells. I could see what you were talking about with that. It was something else. I'm trying to look through your pictures now.
Oh, they are cells. The same thing you're looking at here is no different than what you're looking at here. Here's your nucleus in the center. And here's your outer shell and your electrons moving in and out. And here are the smaller particles, or the things that be inside of the cell. These are cells, no different than the cells in your skin. But these are spiral galaxies. This is the multiverse also. As above, so below.
Could you go in a little bit more? Because you was talking about the Milky Way, and you was talking about how that was the most important part. That was something else.
Okay, yeah, let's get into
you were talking about.
Let's get into that. To understand the Milky Way is to understand this right here, the sine wave. To understand the sine wave is to understand your spine, cord. To understand your spinal cord is to understand electricity, magnetism, and all these things, and frequency. Frequency is what measures the sine wave. That's all frequency is. So let's go into it a little bit. And the sine wave is your DNA helix. It's just in a spiral, because the sine wave moves in a spiral. It does not move. It moves as a spindle, just like this. It doesn't move the way that they draw it. It moves like this, spindling in and out. This is frequency. This is dealing with energy. This is phase. Okay. But we're going to get into the Milky Way. I have the slides here. Okay. So we can understand this. Okay, here we go. All right. Now this is a celestial map of the Milky Way. When you look up at night and you see, if you look at close enough, you can tell the little darker parts of the sky and the stars. Once you see that dark part, that is the Milky Way. That is what is called the Great Dragon. Because why? First of all, once you see that this is a sine wave, do you see the sine wave, the snake, as they call it, the serpent? So we're about to dispel all this serpent, snake stuff and really show you what this stuff is really talking about. It has to do with a snake too, but it has to do more with this sine wave, because the snake moves just like a sine wave. And a cat, if you look at a cat also, as a cat walks, it walks just like a sine wave. Okay? Now, these are these two galaxies intermixing, and you can see the snake or the sine wave. Well, let's get to the Milky Way. I have some pictures I want to share. Here we go. Now, let's learn some ions, some real ions. Now, you see this yellow line that's going down on this chart right here? This yellow line, this is what they call the ecliptic. This is the path of the sun. Now, notice when you look at your eyes, if you pay close attention, find your marker in your yard or building or anything, notice that the path of the sun is only in one direction. It's only on one half of the sky. You're going to look there and you can see the whole path of the sun from when it rises on one side and it goes over. If you notice, you never see that action behind you. That'll never happen behind you. Why? Because the foot of the universe is, if we're using our compass, it would be considered south. That's where your root's at. That's where your feet. Now, I may bring this on my thing so I can draw on it, so I can show y'all exactly what I want to show you and about the Milky Way and how you could use the energy and use the knowledge of what's really happening every day. So let me back this up. I know what folder that's in. I'm going to go to the program where I can pull the picture up. Okay. So we can understand the Milky Way galaxy. Understand. Okay, here we go. Right here. Okay. Now, right here, this intersection right here. Remember, I'm going to show y'all you have this right here, which we know we call the cross, or the Holy Cross. But this right here is the crossroads. Okay? This right here, this X, marks the spot. This is the intersection of energy. This right here, the Holy Cross, is the result or the manifestation of what happens when those two lines intersect. When those two lines intersect, this is created. This is the result. This is the spark. Because these two arches right here, the golden arches, that is the Ark of the Covenant. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. Don't let nobody try to make it seem like it's way more than what it is, because it ain't. Because right here, intersection of this right here called the crossover, you use it in music also, with amps and stuff to make your system boom. You use a crossover, where these 2 points cross and meet, there's a spark that happens. An amplification of energy. Why? Because there's zero balance right here. This is the equal point where it will take from both sides equally. That core, that's the center. And what you will see when you see a star in the sky at night, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing these two systems. Let me see what I'm doing a different color. These two systems. You can't see this because this is dark matter. But these two systems that will act like a cloud, where they cross and meet, light will form, or an arc, or a star will be created. Okay? Now, since we know that now, let's understand that right here, we see a crossover. Notice what date that is. Here's January. Right here. Here's December. Right here. Can anybody guess what that date is right there?
From what? Is that the 21st?
Right around Christmas.
Oh, the 25th. Okay.
Winter solstice. Here's your Santa Claus. I just gave you a gift. Why is that a gift? Why is that point so important? Because this signifies the crossing of the sun in its path with the crossing of the Milky Way galaxy, where it starts to rise, where the energy rises. This intersection is going to cause a big spark of energy. Right there, a star will be born every time. So on this planet, you see the celebration. You just didn't really know why. It's because of that crossover point. No other reason. Okay? Now, if you know how to harness the energy of that event, then if you over here, you know how to gather that, you did a great thing for yourself. You see what I mean? If you understand, this thing taking it to a whole nother level, but that's a whole nother lesson. We ain't gonna get into that on public forums. But y'all know where I'm trying to go with it, right? Okay, so now let's go to the next one, because I'm gonna show you. We're gonna keep looking at these graphs. So this is taken from the satellite. I just understand what I'm looking at. I want everybody to understand it, so you can utilize for yourself. There's nothing evil about it. It's nothing satanic. It's energy. This is how we learn AC, alternating current, DC. This is how we learn how to take hydrogen gas and capture it, or any other type of noble gas, how to separate it, break it down, to make propane, to make butane, to make gases that are mixed with other gases that are usable, that don't implode or explode, or how to take, a signal and split it so that we can have a high, a mid, and a low and so that we can put amplifiers on it and hook them to speakers, and we can knock. Okay? Now, you see right here, but this is how we can build a clone too. This is how we can build an LED light. This is how we can hybridize fruit. This is how we can do anything. By learning the flower of life, which will create the flower of light. And you put it all together, you're going to have the flower of love. So now we look in this area right here. Now this is the Milky Way. Now this is a hot area right here. Look what is here. All the stuff we hear about all the time in all of our stories. Okay, here's Orion, constellation of Orion, right here. Here's this main star, Ra-N-Ell. Okay, this constellation right there. Here's Sirius, Canis Major, right there. Okay, now what's the other one? That makes the Trinity. Let me think. It is, oh yeah, Procron, Canis Minor. Now right here creates that Y. But always remember, there's a core. So there is a core star, which, let me back that up, which I see it, which is here, which is Marcellus. So now when you know the science of the ions or the ionic bonding and how this is going to work, this is going to work here, spin out here, and spin out there. And there's your core axis point. It's right there. So this is how these stars are going to interact with each other. And when you see it at night, they would group this together and call it a system, or a constellation, or a zodiac sign, or whatever the case may be. But the main fact of it is, what is happening here is this is right here in the core of her, the Great Mother. This is the jet stream of the heavens. The same way we got a jet stream down here and wind flows, this is the cosmic winds. This is when, if you're on your spaceship and you're in the galactic, this is the great wormhole. This is how you get from one side of the multiverse to the other. Whoop. So if we go back, let me show you another. Let me continue going with this so you can see the whole thing. So my unified field right here. Okay, so we can see. Okay, we're seeing it going up. We're seeing up on that side. Let's see what other views I have. This is a higher view. Okay. Now we're going to see the other crossover. Crossover axis, or crossover point. Right here. Well, let me draw this something better so we can see it. Right here. Now we see again July and June. So does anybody want to guess what this spot is? That crossover point? The summer solstice. This is where the sun, if you see this line right here, that's the path of the sun. That's the ecliptic, as they call it. And if we look at that, that's go up and down also. But now the only part we see is this arch. All the time. Sun up, sunrise, sunset. We don't really see, because we see things in fragments. But we need to, when we see one thing, we need to stop jumping to a conclusion so fast. and look at it from many different angles so we can get a big picture. Now, we're showing some different angles of this, but if we was to see this whole thing spread all the way out, which they ain't gonna show it to you spread all the way out. That's the other side. But if you see the whole thing going from January to February, you're going to see that the sun makes a sine wave too. The sun goes up. Hold on. The sun makes a sine wave also. The sun is going to go up, and then it's going to go down, and then it's going to go up again. But if you don't know anything about the Great Mother or the dragon, or Mama Draco as they call her, if you don't know about this and you let somebody tell you that this is a reptilian and they coming to eat you, and then so you will always never know this. And then somebody who knows the science of how to harvest this energy is going to put you in their ritual, and they're going to suck your energy because they know what to do here. But they're going to spook you out with this. Because what they ain't going to tell you is that throughout all of these planets, here go your 13th zodiac right here, your Orpheus. Within all these planets, all of this is part of your DNA. Everything that is within this Milky Way galaxy is you. You are in the dream of Earth, which is in the dream of her mother, which is the Milky Way. Now, we can tie these concepts to bodies and all these type of things, but understand that the higher you get, you're just dealing with a different form of energy. Hydrogen, argon, nitrogen, helium. You have beings made out of helium. You have beings made out of gas. You have beings made out of liquid. You have beings made out of solid. Then you have beings that's intermixed between all those three substances. It's simple when you follow the mechanics that I showed you in the last video. Okay, so now let's look at one more thing that I thought I saw that I wanted to share. Oh yeah, I remember what it is now. So when I tell you, is this the one I want? Okay. This shows it, but I think I have one that shows it a little better. If we were taking, this is the top of a black hole, or it could be the top of a white hole. Because as I showed you in the last video, that you have the black hole on one side and the white hole on the other side, and they combine on two. Now, if you sit here, if you look at this right here, what this right here is going to show you, that right here, that's the being. That's the manifestation of the being, her. That's her manifestation right there. That's one being sitting down, so to speak. So when I went back and I saw that each one of those galaxies, those spiral galaxies, one of those is each one of us. Let me go back. When I showed you this picture, which one I'm trying to get to? This one again. Each one of these is a being within itself. Each one. One of these is me. One of these is you. It's countless of these things. You can't count them. There's not even a number. There's one representative for everything in the multiverse. Has one. This will be considered your highest self until you merge all the way back to the source. Because all of these things are going to collapse back into one thing at some point. And then it would expand again and burst out again and start a new venture. This is the macro. And you're just the micro. This is the infinite system working itself, and we're just the finite of it, but we're still the infinite. It's the same thing. So, I'm going to show you one picture too so you can see the Great Mother from another view that is different. It's in this one. The Great Mother Milky Way Dragon. Where's she at? I got a better picture. Let's get another folder. Okay, let's go back there. Pretty sure I put it in here. Anybody got any questions? I guess you don't want me to show it.
And something else that you were saying earlier, and I just want to be clear, because you were pointing out how the Milky Way was the mother, but then you also was pointing out something to deal with, you said, with Ra and the Ram, and I want to see how those connect each other to each other.
All right, well, we want to do that. Let me do a demonstration.
Only if you're finished with this. If you're finished.
Oh, yeah, I'm finished with this.
Okay.
I think I just need to go back to, let's see, stop. And then to go back to my face.
If anybody has any questions, you can actually type it out in the chat, or again, unmute yourself. If you're on the computer, I think it's press *6 for a phone. I just want to share that again.
All right, so let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into it. All right. Everything, as we explained, start off with that black dot. And once we mirror that, mirror image, we'll start off with that. Okay? Now, we'll always keep the triune, the Trinity. We want to keep all those concepts to a constant. So we're going to start off with that center point. Keeping in mind the sine wave also. Okay? Now, from here we want to understand how are we going to take this to the ram. And how does the ram and Aries, how does it relate to the energy and how we use it? Okay? We're going to start off with that, and we're going to mirror that right there. We're going to start off with our triune going this way. Our Trinity, our tricep. And then we're going to bring this to full fruition. Okay? So in order to see it, do I want to put it in a circle first? We can. So now I'm going to build me a ram. Give it a little eyes here. Right? But I'm going to understand that the ram horns follow this angle, this degree. This angle right here signifies something. If this is the center of my circle, we see the Y. That's the center of my circle. The center of the sphere, we ain't going to call it a circle, we'll call it a sphere. The center of the sphere creates this line right here. This line right here is what we consider 0 degrees on this side of the mirror. This 0 degrees is also 360 degrees at the same time. And I'm going to explain how using the RAM. And we're going to learn about power, or the splitting of power. And we're going to do it by the measurement of the angle of the ram's horn. So know that, a lot of people don't know this, but you're going to learn it today, that this plane that's coming across here, on this side is actually 180 degrees. We're going to explain it. And actually, this axis up here is 90 degrees. And we're going to explain why and how in the world is this 0 degrees, 360 degrees, and this is 180 degrees over here. How is that? Because we're going to see that 270 degrees is down here. And then we're going to see that 315 degrees is right here. Then we're going to see that 135 degrees is right here. And you're going to say, oh, I forgot something. And then we're going to see that 45 degrees is right here. Now, we're going to see what does this all mean and how does this make sense, because this don't make no sense to me. I'm gonna break it down. This plane is on the top of the head. If we imagine that there's a straight line here that's dividing this plane, and a line here that's dividing this plane, now we can break things in half. We can see how the energy is going to move. This right here is 60 degrees in height. And this right here is 60 degrees in height. Okay? Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that when they looking at degrees, they only looking going up, because they don't know how to find the center of a sphere or orbital. They don't know how to find the center. They looking at the center as being here. This ain't the center of this. This is the center. So now you have in height, here you have a 30-degree plane. Which is here. 30 degrees in height. Degrees. 30 degrees. Okay? Now, what we have here is the torus field. We have the sine wave. Okay? So now, we start to understand, we're starting to see some things. We're seeing our sine wave or our Milky Way galaxy. We're seeing it on both sides. We're seeing how the movement of energy, how energy comes down from these directions. And the result of these angles meeting causes sight or light to shoot out.
Okay, going back to the spark you were saying, right? The spark in the center?
There you go. It's causing a spark. Your pineal gland is sitting right here. So, this interaction, see, what people don't understand, here's your ecliptic. You're on red. Here's your ecliptic. That's the path for the sun. Your sun is always going to be shining down at that 45-degree angle. Why? Because your planet Earth, is attached to it on a rotation with an axis. So no matter how that sun travels along its path from the ecliptic, from the time it rises to the time it sets, you still only going to perceive it from one point of view. So your eyes, which ain't nothing but another curve, which is another sphere, and it's split, so you get a split signal. Within your eyes is an iris, is a prism. It separates light. Okay? Up here, this is a prism also. It's doing the same thing. Then you have another prism called the outside skin or the outside atmosphere. All these things is bending light and separating substance, separating noble gases, separating dark matter, refracting with dark matter and causing light, or what we perceive as light. So this path that this energy is taking, right here, this is called the Ra-N-Ell. Because this energy spirals out and loops back around on itself, creating a feedback loop. Now, what's happening is up here, there's another system, a 9, turning one way, a black hole, and there's a system down here, spinning in the opposite direction, a 6. This is causing a funnel or a downward push and pull, or yin and a yang. Right here. And so what is happening, this energy flowing like this side, energy flowing like this on this side, cycling, this is causing an hourglass or a chalice effect. What you calling you, what we calling man. This arc or spark, which is the same picture that we saw with the man standing right here in front. And then showing the little cloud up here, which is signifying the yin and the yanging, or the 6ing and the 9ing, or the A and the E. Because actually the A and the E is on this side. This side is an A at 360 degrees, a lowercase a, and on this side is an E, a lowercase e. So on this side, this is creating the future, or what we perceive as the future going this way. And this is what we're perceiving as the past going this way. But however, those are just probabilities. The real time is being caused by these forces that's coming down from these directions, from these angles. So now, the whole science is that we know that you, me, her, it, all of us have an extension of ourselves outside of this. I just showed you the galaxy within itself. So that's that higher part of yourself. Here's another part of yourself. But this right here is only a receptor that's sending it down to the real goddess within you in your core, your center. This energy is flowing downward, going straight down. And here's your spinal cord. Which is catching that signal, synergizing it, and bringing it down to the next part of self. So this is the Aries. This is the air. The air is where the power is. That's why you breathe it. The breath. That's why you go a few seconds without it, it's over. The soul is going to leave up out of here, the life force. Because all this force and this energy is only really working its way down to the core, to the whore, to the horus, to the horse, to the torso, to the mayat, to the belt, the judge, the balancer. Don't you put food down in your mouth and it goes down to your core section, and then this is where the separation goes on again, and the core elements and what you need is taken out, and the rest is extracted and discarded. So you see that this is just the entry of the system from the top side, but it's mirrored to the bottom. Let me show you. So you see the ram. You see the ram blowing the smoke out its nose. We put some nostrils here. Shape it on off a little bit. You see the eyes. You see his horns. So it's showing you how the energy works and it's synergized at the pineal, just at this orb. But that ain't your big orb. That's not your big orb. That's a little orb. It's only one part of the system. You're a whole being. You ain't just part of a being. You're a whole multiverse. You're just not one universe. So let's keep going. So if we look at this orb, which we call it the head, okay, this orb, calling that the torso, we calling this the leg, arm, and the arm. Okay? The center axis is there. More so by the midsection. Really, in a reproduction. Because right here, we just showed you the two orbs in the pineal. Well, that's shooting down with the Y, and you're getting there. Now you know you got the two, either ovaries or the gonads. So you mirror that point there, the triangle on the other side. Remember I told you, this is equal potential. This is the ground. This is the ground. Okay? Now, notice that what we just created was a diamond. Diamonds off the L. Okay? Now, the system is going to be mirrored down here. Central axis point, central axis point. Now you can bring that out to here. Now you have the complete system. Now if I encircle that, then you have your molecule. Now you have your 5-star man or woman. But woman and man is destined to get his tail back. Because at one point it had his tail. Okay. Now you have your 6-star or your Merkaba. With your light blowing out, spiraling out. But most people don't perceive, because this is a flat surface, that this same action is way too. And this way. And around the shoulders. And this way. Everything is leafing. It's leafing out. It's blooming out like a flower. The seed. This is the core, the kernel. Like Christ said, plant the seed. That's the core. Cooperator. That's the CPU of the motherboard of the whole system. From this one dot, it's going to mirror itself and start this whole system. And then if you want a 9-star being, you just add more to it. Then you can see the extension of the star this way. Same way you see a star in the sky. Now that's a 9-star being. Like your cat, 9 lives. Now sometimes you see a being that's a 13, a 12, with his ears are a part of this being. You would call that a 12 star or a 13 because a lot of times people miss the core. They miss that center dot because they don't see it. But when you know the rules and the law of one, you understand that you put that there because that is the center axis that's holding all of this together. That's the beginning. And the outer shell that connects it all is the end. So within that is the beginning, is the end, is the start, is the finish. When you operate from the core, from the center, you understand how to create that. That right there is no different than that. It's no different than that. It's no different than that. All the same exact thing expressed in a different way. Anybody got any questions?
I'm trying to see. I had just booted someone out the meeting. I don't know if he was supposed to be or not, but I thought it was that troll from last time. If anybody has any questions, like I said, just unmute yourself. But you did a great job with explaining. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I get a clear understanding of what's going on, because you mentioned about the energy. So when you, first and foremost, you're saying that, number one, that people have, when they picture the pineals in the wrong place, correct?
No.
Because they picture it higher in their head and it's supposed to be in the center.
What I'm saying is that the pineal, you have more than one pineal.
Oh, okay.
Duality, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Polarity. People know about one third eye. You have two third eyes. You have the third eye here, the pineal, but then you have a third eye here in your reproduction system. Right where your reproduction, that's your stargate. That's where the soul, the spirit body, the physical body, this is the entrance and the exit. So what I'm telling you is that the ions is that you have the stargate here, you have a pineal here, you have one here, but then you have one here too. When you put your feet together, those are orbs. You always see something signified down here to tie this energy down here together, because you remember, there is a white hole down here making this whole thing spin. Because without it spinning, the mix ain't gonna it ain't gonna work. The circuit ain't gonna, see, this is a circuit. A circuit, meaning a path so energy can travel without bumping, so it can enter, mingle, it can integrate with each other as much as it wants, but still keep a distance and have a path, an orbital to flow, and a path to flow up and down and in and out. But this system is a fail-proof system, because what people don't understand is that your feet is your head in this reality, because your feet is your roots. This is your roots down here. This is your root. And what this signifies is the start of when we get into galactic history, which we're going to get there real soon, you're going to figure out that this center spot, or this diamond, signifies, this diamond signifies a specific star system that makes a diamond. And it's called Lyra, Vega. is what this is and what is in the center of that Merkaba. Because what this is in the south, and is at the root of the universe. So this is the foot, the entryway, but it's really here. It's signifying this because the parallel reality is created when we got this system up here and this system down here. Like I said, this black hole and this white hole, what I showed in the last slide and what a lot of people forget because it's hard to see everything at once, is that this whole system makes a U or folds on top of itself. So you have like almost like a top and a bottom. And there's an hourglass in between. You know, this hourglass. And so this core, that's why I'm drilling the core, to get it out the head. And to understand that the feet are just as important as the head. What's holding you up? What's getting you around everywhere? What's never talked about? The feet. But the feet are the root. Signifies the root of the whole galaxy, of the of this universe. And this is this side is 1 foot, and then when you go on the other side, you got another system. It's a tri-system that has Sirius. You have Sirius, you have Ra-N-Ell, and you have Ra-N-Ell. These are a tri-star system. This makes up the other foot. And that's how it is. That's when you start to get into galactic history. And we're going to go there because we're going to start putting personalities, and we're going to start putting sectors. We're going to really start understanding right now. I'm just giving the general, the 101 to this. Because if you don't understand the Merkaba, if you don't understand the car, the vehicle, the spirit body, the circuit, the circus, you don't understand how the lights come on, you can't navigate through the dark. It's going to always be dark. Because everything will always be unknown. And it's going to be scary. Because someone else has already got to you before you got a chance to know. You used to know this. But through war and separation, you forgot. So now, someone came, and we know who the someone are, but they came and they gave you half of it. Gave you a piece of it. And told you with the whole thing. They gave you this. That's all they gave you. Was the pyramid. Then they put another one on top and put an eye on it. That's what they gave you. That's it. They ain't even give you the bottom half. They ain't give you that.
It's funny that you said it. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's funny that you said that because just recently, one of the articles that we have put out on the Moore's News Network was they were talking about the pyramid, and they were talking about, you know, they're disclosing a lot of stuff that was hidden. And one thing they mentioned was about something being under the pyramid, and they were talking about the bottom. For some reason, I'm gonna have to look that article back up again because I seen it. You know, I put out a lot of mainstream articles, and that was one of them. They were talking about the bottom.
It's a diamond. It's the inverse of that. But however, even when they show you this, you still getting misled because it was never supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like this.
That's the hourglass again, right?
There you go. See, think about what you're seeing. Seeing this. Let me draw it a different color. Think about what you've been taught. What you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing this. And that. Okay? That's what you're used to seeing. Now, when you slide that up, slide that one up, and this one down, that's all you have, is that. And then you have the diamond. You see what I just did? If you take this triangle, in the red, I'll do that backwards. If you take the red one and you make it go down, and then you take the green one, what I'm about to draw here, this one, and you slide that one up, you're going to have this shape. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
But if you do the inverse, you go the opposite way, take this red one and go up now, and take the other one and go down, you do what's called the inverse, not the reverse, but the inverse. In this situation, it could be called the reverse and the inverse probably at the same time. But if you do that, and now that, and now you got the hourglass. And what did we learn about energy? The energy is coming down like this. And up this way, you look from the bottom up. So now, what happens? Now we can reach synergy, singularity, this way.
Going back to the spark, correct?
There we go. But see now the difference between this one, this system, and this system is totally different. Because now the light is hitting this corner first. It's hitting the prism. It's hitting the corner. It's hitting the 90. You remember corners is where energy gets stopped, right? You know where the shadows build up in the corners. You got more force that's coming down now that's going to break through that corner. And what are we doing? We're hitting the prism. That's going to cause this light to break into pieces, into different colors, like a rainbow. on both sides. All that energy is going to spiral down like that. This is going to break up from the prism. All this energy going to spiral up. Now, here's you. Right in your core. Right where the goddess sits. Right where everything ties your whole body together. That center axis right here. Getting the benefit. Now, in return, what it can do is cycle that energy to all parts of the body. A self-perpetuating system. This is free energy. This system right here never depletes. Because there's a feedback. This spark is going to cause a baby, which I just drew, come out of it. Come back around. Come back this way into itself. And the same thing going to happen in other direction. It's going to create something new. The singularity of this energy coming in is going to create something new. And it's going to create a feedback loop back onto itself. So it's feeding itself. No need no outside help for anything. The elements will be broken up. What is taken will be distributed, broken up just like it's broken up in your stomach, right here. But the difference is, it'll come right back around, just like a ram's horn. And so you notice ain't nothing top heavy here. Ain't nothing protruding from the top. Ain't no little pyramid on this one. Being all seeing eye, sucking up everybody's energy, sucking up everything. Because see, this right here, when you just look at this one by itself, that right there, what we've been given, this is what we see on the ground everywhere we go. Everybody brag about it. The pyramid. The pyramidal system. What happens with a pyramid system? It's a top-up system. I ain't going to hate on it, do what it do. But it's a top-up system. It just top up. Everything from the base must rise to the top. For one little small little thing to capture it all. That's the Illuminati, if somebody would want to call them, or someone who can set themselves up on high and set up a system that everybody that's down here, you notice the higher you get, the small amount can go up. Like a job. You're working in a pyramidal system, it ain't but one manager, it ain't but one CEO, it ain't but one CFO. You go to the government, it ain't but a few positions up here. Everybody down here are slaves. They're in bondage. They're the sheep. They're the base. But notice on this system, you can start with one person and rise up. Look how many people can fit up there. Everybody. Everybody at the top. Everybody rise together and everybody fell together. It ain't no big I's, no little U's. As a matter of fact, if you look at it, here goes your center axis. You think that's one of the cores, but here goes your pineal gland. It's holding its own up there. It's been an anchor for all these points. It's sharing the load. So if I turn that to the side, that could be the top. If I turn that to the side, that could be the top. This is supporting that, that's supporting that, that's supporting that, that's supporting that. It's all support. Everything has been supported. Here it is down here again. There go that center axis. There go your 2 feet. Here's that core position right here. This has been supported. It's supporting this. This is supporting this. I can turn this sideways. Or I can take this and flip it all the way up. Now he's at the top. Now he at the top. I can flip it around there. Now he at the top. Everybody getting their chance to be at the top, or to be at the bottom, or to be at the side, or to be in the middle. You see what I'm saying? This is the flower of life and light and love, all in one. All in one. This is everything. This is the way the Creator intended for it to be. You see this? This is a feminine energy. The woman, the V. The V. Pouring in. It's coming in. Up top is empty. It's a chalice now. It's a cup. This is the golden chalice that they be talking about. This is the Ark of the Covenant. This is your chakra system. What I showed you when I started off. This is balance. Everything is equal. And everything is one right here. Singularity. And if you want to see it, here go your ram's head. Here go your ram. Go to ears. Ears signifying the energy. Flow of it all. Here's your vortex. Here's your Abraham Hicks. Here's your law of attraction. The true one. Well, you know the path of energy and how to bring it all to you. Here you go. Here's your apple. Take a bite out of it. Here's your torus field. Here's your sphere. Here's your galaxy. Here's your multiverse. It's all there. You want to see the ram again? Let's put some eyes on it. There you go. Ra, the ram. Now we can drive that thing like a Dodge truck. We can drive it anywhere we want to go. Like, we take it to space. We can take it to the underworld. Take it in your cells. Where y'all want to go to? We can turn it into gas, water. How you want to spin it? I am Ra-N-Ell.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. You know something? You went in so deep on I see how you were able to tie together the RAM now. You went so deep, and I'm telling you, start heating up, especially towards the end part. You always start heating up towards the end, because I'm always trying to figure, I'm like, okay, where's he going with this? Like, how's he going to make this connect? That's what made me start asking the questions. If anybody...
Karma, this is the car of mom. This is mama's car. So, like a car, as it heat up, you warm it up, we're going to drive it. And then the more you drive it, the warmer it gets. And the faster it goes. And the sweeter it sounds. It's Ram. It's Ram tough. It's Ford tough. It's Chevy tough. It's got cams in it. It's the Ram. And we can change it to the bull. We can take it to Hathor the bull, and I can show you the bull horns. Because it's just another different degree and angle. Here's the bull.
I see people in the chat saying beautiful. They liked it.
Yeah. We can go with the bull. We can go with the goat. Here's the goat. They go to goat horns. Those are just the different degrees of the angle.
Different degrees. Mm-hmm.
Yes, of the angle of the curve, of the arc, of the golden arch. It's McDonald's.
Right.
So they take the same symbols and things that we know and put it in front of your face and make money off of it. Ram truck. But it ain't nothing but the Taurus field. It ain't nothing but energy. It ain't nothing but three-phase power, single-phase electricity, AC, DC, nitrogen, gas, helium, blow it up in a balloon, let it float. We want to smoke, blow the smoke out our mouth. All of it's the same thing. Same mechanics. There's nothing new under the sun. So we start tying this thing galactically to different beings. We're going to take all the ghosts and the monster stuff out of it. We're just going to show you that the intermingling of this energy causes different things with different abilities. That's it.
Right.
And it's all layered within you and outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to come active based upon the interreaction of as closer as this right here. I showed you. This is a whole system, a whole galaxy, solar system. I mean, a whole universe. What was that called? A cosmos.
Yeah. You were saying like the universe on one side, the universe on the other side.
Just think about what I was showing in the one pictures. As I was showing how that other one comes over time. Like that's what we're dealing with now. With a whole nother system then cusped, creating this area right here of integration. And as we explained, you might have another, because you have 4 cardinal points. That's making that X, what I told you, the cross. These are the 4 cardinal points on your cards or anything that you're dealing with in magic, whatever. All it's showing you is that this is binary to this, and this is binary to that, and where they mix and where they meet, it's going to cause an explosion of energy. It's going to cause light. It's going to cause knowledge. It's going to cause whatever you want it to cause. A crossover in music. I have, this is my lows. Got a crossover where this is my mids and where they meet. That's a crossover in music. That's the sweet spot. Then you have another over here for your highs. There's another crossover.
You know something? I was trying to unmute people. It looks like some people can't unmute to answer their questions. I'm gonna work on that for next time. I know we're hitting close to it's almost 9:30 where I'm at. What I'm thinking to do is at least we'll wrap it up for tonight. And I don't know if you want to go back into where you left off, or are you going to go into something else next time? Because you surprise me every time you come on with something. I swear I always think we're going to go into like where we left off, but it kind of does. It always connects no matter what. So what I'm thinking is we'll just wrap it up for tonight. I'm sorry?
Like it just that popped in my head. Ra, the Ram. Ra was known as the Ram. So
right.
And then it just popped in my head. Oh, dang, that's Aries at the same time. That's the beginning.
Right.
So it's just so befitting, and it's the head. That's what most of us is in our head, and we don't know how to relieve the pressure. You got to send energy down to the core. Stop trying to go high so much. To go low is to go high.
Someone else is in the chat saying thank you. They enjoyed it. They're talking to you. They can't talk, so I'm just letting you know what they're saying because everybody's at least some people have left so far. So there's only a couple people left, but they're saying thank you.
We don't want to. go too long, that's not balanced either. So let's go ahead and wrap it on up, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. We'll post it. We're gonna keep going. We're just gonna drill this in from all kind of angles until we know this, because once we really understand this, we could put anything on these points, on these spheres, and we can see how they're going to move. Because actually, this can be summed up in algebra. This is algebra.
Okay.
And we'll get to that next time. We're going to start looking at the algebraic equations. Like I told you, the weight is my act, is the equal sign. So we'll show how we work from one side to the other side of the equation. Because that's how this is actually done.
Okay.
That's how people can fly to the moon.
Now, see, we definitely getting there. See, somebody said thank you again. That was beautiful. Blown away. I'm getting a lot of stuff in the chat. I thank you guys for coming, and I really appreciate it. Especially, I know like you came last minute. I had just sent it to you, so I appreciate you coming on like that. I know you just got out of a meeting, so and you stayed for the whole time, so I appreciate that. And everybody else that's seeing this tonight, and of course, I'm gonna post it out there so people can actually see it and review it, especially if you missed the beginning of it. And I'm gonna talk to him after we get done, so we can do this again and move further, because this is more advanced information that he's given. Now, though you did kind of break it down, on the beginning stages, but we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of everything. We're gonna start getting to the meat and potatoes.
Look what we got right here. We got wings. We're gonna fly.
We're gonna fly. That's right.
All right.
Yes. Thank you
love.
so much. Yes. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ra-N-Ell. I appreciate you. And we're going to talk again. I'm going to stop the recording now. But peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.